Hi everyone, welcome back to another weekly live. It is just me at the moment. Um, Unfortunately, Nerdy can't make it because she's not feeling very well. Hopefully, Max can join. Um, Hopefully, otherwise it will just be me. So yeah, if if you have any, I don't know, questions, then drop them below in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. Right, so we have a guest coming on. Hopefully, um, they will join us. um, and then we can discuss their experience of being sent to a conversion camp. Um, so yeah, we, but yeah, I mean, I suppose in the meantime, we will just do the usual. And by usual, I mean probably discuss what's been happening recently while we wait. So, I'm a little bit unprepared for this because I only, you know, got a few questions for our guest. So, bear with me 1 minute. But I hope everyone is enjoying their week so far. Had a great weekend. Um, the weather isn't as hot, so that's a plus for me. Right, let's do a bit of a search. Um, Latest. Um, no, don't want that. Right, so let's have a look at what's been happening. Well, for one, let me bring it up. FA bloody adverts. So yeah, this is from the 8th of July. So, wait, let me quickly do this. Um, nope. Wait, that. Just bear with me 1 second. Um, yeah, as I was saying, on the 8th of July, the Football Association's updated requirements for transgender men. Um, who want to play in male sports, but sports requires players to agree they are biological female and have a greater risk of injury when playing against adult biological males. The FA changed its rules on trans people's participation in English football earlier this year, following the UK Supreme Court ruling on 16th of April. While transgender women have been banned from female football in FA affiliated competitions since June 1st. So basically, the FA, among other, how shall I say it, other transphobic, bigoted organisations have crumbled into full-on panic mode and are trying to basically eliminate trans athletes from competing in the sport they love, or because they want to be transphobic. Basically, that's what all of this boils down to. So despite the fact that trans people have competed in sports since the 1970s, and probably even earlier than that. But you know but apparently, they are a threat to biological people, I guess. Um, but so yeah, that's the FA. Um, but yeah, so that's just one thing that's happened. But let's look again. Again, in I'm currently waiting for our guest to join us. So hopefully we won't we won't we will not be waiting long. Hopefully, um, but we will just have to see. Um, when was this? Oh, so on LGBTQnation.com, police. This is in um, America. Um, Police hunt for three-man mob who viciously attacked a trans woman and left her for dead. The attack left her with multiple fractures. She blames right-wing transphobia for inspiring her attackers. So DC police are hunting for three men who shouted anti-trans slurs before attacking Kayla Calhoun, a 43-year-old trans woman, on June 29th. The attack left Calhoun with a concussion and broke her ribs, elbow, femur, palate and vertebra, and multiple fractures around her eye socket. She blames right-wing anti-trans rhetoric for motivating her attackers. Calhoun left her job at Annabelle restaurant around midnight while wearing a skirt and a rainbow pin and riding her one-wheeled motorized skateboard. While traveling, three other men on motorized scooters encountered her on the street, began shouting transphobic slurs, and then shoved her off her vehicle. um, so yeah, emergency medical responders found her lying near a curb around 6 a.m. local time and transported her to George Washington University Hospital. Her bloodied skirt had been shredded, and hospital workers threw away her personal belongings, possibly mistaking her words for a homeless person. So yeah, this is where you insert TERFs, or my new favourite word that Nerdy told me about, germ. This is where they insert that this never happens to trans people, specifically trans women. That this only happens to cis women, but that's where they are wrong. Anyone, anyone can be attacked, regardless of their sex. But hey ho, I suppose TERFs have to, go along with their narrative. Also, another one, again on LGBTQ Nation. A trans teen girl was put in a male detention center. They broke her jaw. Five boys have been charged with assaulting the victim. Five teenagers have been charged with assaulting a trans girl who has been housed in a boys' unit inside a Washington, D.C. juvenile detention center. It had not been reported whether her trans identity played a role in the assault. Come on. This is a article by Molly Sprayrigan. Come on, of course it was motivated because of her identity. The girl's jaw was broken during the July 7th attack that sent her to the hospital. Um, so yeah, so I have just read two articles that were uploaded on the same day of two trans women attacked. So yeah, um, not looking good for Um, so yeah, that's on that. Um, what's this? Oh, uh, mm. I wondered when they were going to rear their head again. So, gender critical campaign group Sex Matters has vowed to take legal action against the corporation that runs the Ladies' Pond on London beauty spot Hampstead Heath because they allow trans bathers to enter despite the Supreme Court ruling on sex and gender. Thus, they keep on forgetting that sex and gender are very different. But Kenwood Ladies Pond is run by the City of London Corporation and has always welcomed transgender women. This is where it is to the annoyance of anti-trans campaigners. In 2019, the COLC formally acknowledged trans people's right to swim at the pond through a policy ensuring their public services do not discriminate against trans people and everyone was fully respected, and equality and basic human rights upheld. This was reaffirmed 5 years later when members of the Kenwood Ladies Pond Association (KLPA) voted to reject a change that would have redefined the word woman to mean only those born female in sex. Which, FYI, the word female doesn't. You're more than your sex. I'll just put it that way. Last month, Sex Matters wrote to the COLC warning that if the policy was not changed to make the pond single sex only, which they can't, the group would begin legal action over its failure to take heed of the Supreme Court's judgment. So once again, you have a bunch of middle-aged women who aren't happy that their supposed safe 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 space or spaces are being encroached. Well, I'm sorry, but you know, these people seriously, these people make me laugh. Right, let me right because I don't know when our guest is going to jump on, but I'm going to quickly send them an email. Um, just to, in case they might have forgot. Excuse me, that I've gone live. So yeah, I'm just sending them an email now, and hopefully, um, they will they will jump on. They'll come on because yeah, I'd really like to, you know, have the discussion with them about their experiences, about their experience. So yeah, but I suppose we can cover the latest goings on while we wait. Um, so yeah, um, I'm just currently looking. Good, like I say, I was a bit under prepared because normally I would have articles ready to talk about, but you're getting a more laid back tone tonight. um, so yeah, more recently, um, oh yeah, um, so this happened. When was it? The 28th of June. So little over 2 weeks ago, thereabouts. Tens of thousands of people have marched for LGBTQ rights in the Hungarian capital, Budapest, defying a government ban and police orders in one of the biggest shows of opposition to Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Organisers on Saturday estimated that up to 200,000 people took part in the 30th annual Budapest Pride, which was outlawed in March by Orban's right-wing populist governing party. Bear with me 1 minute. The rally began at Budapest City Hall and wound through the city centre before crossing the capital's Erzsébet Bridge over the Danube River. The crowds waved rainbow flags and carried signs mocking Orban. "Freedom and love can't be banned," read one poster put up near the city hall. "None of us are free until everyone is free," read another sign. Amnesty Hungary said on X that the event was easily the biggest Pride march in Hungary's history and also, in quotes, perhaps the biggest demonstration ever. Zoltan, a 66-year-old protester, told the AFP News agency that he was proud to be gay and very scared that the government wants to bring us down. The protester, who only gave his first name, added, "I am very surprised that there are so many people. I want to cry." One marcher, Blanca Molnar, said it was, in quotations, "a fantastic feeling that more people had attended the Pride March than ever before, despite it being outlawed." She said it was increasingly important for Hungarians, even those who have never been to Pride before, to push back against the government's policies. This isn't just about LGBTQ rights, it's also about the right to assemble and about standing up for each other and not allowing the government to oppress us, she told the Associated Press news agency. Some people also gathered along the route to protest LGBTQ rights in demonstrations called by far-right groups, one of which featured a wooden cross adorned with protest messages. So, yeah. Um, the nationalist leader on Friday said that while police will not break up the 30th edition of the Pride March, those who took part should be aware of legal consequences. Parade organisers risk up to a year in prison, and attendees can face fines of up to €500. That is $580. However, Budapest Mayor Gergely Kacsony insisted that no attendee can face any reprisals as the march, co-organised by the City Hall this time, is a municipal event and do not require police approval. Calzone later noted the big turnout in a social media post and thanked Orban for advertising for a more tolerant society. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, Orban wants a more tolerant society, all right? He wants to completely erase LGBTQ people, which judging by the Pride March in Hungary, that's not going to happen. So that's in Hungary. Let's see if there's anything else. Um, um, right, this is in Tennessee. The United States Supreme Court has ruled that a Tennessee law barring puberty blockers and hormone therapies for transgender minors does not violate the US Constitution and can therefore remain in effect. Wednesday's decision was split along ideological lines, with the High Court's 6 conservative judges siding with Tennessee and its 3 left-leaning judges joining together for a dissent. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the opinion for the majority. In it, he explained that the plaintiffs, 3 transgender minors, their parents, and a doctor, had not successfully shown a violation of the Constitution's 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal protection under the law. Well, they do have equal protections under the law. They absolutely do. But once again, this is, the US stamping their feet, or because they can't get rid of trans people. And so they're trying to use their political power. The plaintiffs had sought to lift the ban, arguing that Tennessee's law, known as SB 1, discriminated against them based on their sex and gender. Roberts, however, disagreed. He pointed out that the ban applies to young men and women equally. SB 1 does not mask sex-based classifications. He wrote, the law does not prohibit conduct for one sex that it permits for the other. Okay? Under SB 1, no minor may be administered puberty blockers or hormones to treat gender dysphoria. Oh. Okay. So, right. Gender identity disorder or gender incongruence. Roberts also noted that puberty blockers continue to be available under the Tennessee law to treat congenital defects, early puberty, disease, or injury among children. That application likewise was allowed regardless of sex. Oh, I see. Right. There we have it. There we have it, folks. There we have it. That's the only through line that you need. It's all right for cis kids, those who, go through, early puberty. So it's all right for them, but it's not all right for minors. to go on, the same puberty blockers as cis kids. Right? You see, whenever you read these articles, you can already see a through line within it. It's all right for cis kids, but when it comes to trans people or trans children, it's not fine because it's not because they view it as different. It's not different. You're just being a transphobic prick, or because you don't think that trans kids are really trans. It's not rocket science, and it's not as if any of these judges have any knowledge of the treatment. They are just voicing their opinion, and because they are a judge, it carries weight in the courtroom. But their opinion doesn't really count, doesn't really matter, so I say. But anyway, SB1 does not exclude any individual from medical treatments on the basis of transgender status, but rather removes one set of diagnoses: gender dysphoria, gender identity disorder, and gender incongruence from the range of treatable conditions, Roberts said. Oh, that's very nice of you. Well done. I don't know if you can tell, but there was a hint of sarcasm just then. Transgender youth are sometimes prescribed hormone inhibitors to delay the onset of puberty, thereby stopping the development of secondary sex characteristics like breasts, deepening voices, and facial hair. Why, yes, because that's not what they want. Which is why they are prescribed, hormone blockers. LGBTQ advocates say such gender-affirming care is essential in some cases to alleviate the stress of such changes and reduce the potential need for surgeries later on. Puberty blockers are widely considered to be safe and their effects temporary. Yeah, you can be on puberty blockers for a maximum 2 years. But then that's it. Any longer than that, then obviously that's a discussion between the parents and the doctors and other professionals. Health authorities in a number of European countries have raised significant concerns regarding the potential harms associated with using puberty blockers and hormones to treat transgender minors, Roberts wrote. He then goes on to further say, recent developments only underscore the need for legislative flexibility in this area, he continued. The majority's opinion was met by a fierce dissent written by Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She pointed out that puberty blockers can save lives, given that transgender youth face higher rates of suicide, self-harm, and bullying, which they do. That's not to discount discount the high rates of suicide, self-harm among cis children and cis people, but it's just something to highlight, to understand. The majority contorts logic and precedent to say otherwise, inexplicably declaring it must uphold Tennessee's categorical ban on life-saving medical treatment so long as any reasonable conceivable state of facts might justify it, Sotomayor wrote. By retreating from meaningful judicial review exactly where it matters most, the court abandons transgender children and their families to political whims. In sadness, I dissent. She emphasized that the consensus in the US medical community is that puberty blockers are appropriate and medically necessary in the cases of a comprehensive and clinical diagnosis of gender dysphoria. Transgender adolescents' access to hormones and puberty blockers known as gender affirming care is not a matter of mere cosmetic preference, Sotomayor said. To the contrary, access to care can be a question of life or death. You know, I liken this to a cis person who has who is trying to access medication, right? If you restrict someone with mental health problems, they suffer from depression, suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, self harm, etc. And they're trying to access medication if you can get an appointment, first of all. But let's suppose you get an appointment, right? You go through the process of trying to be put on medication, right? And let's say, hypothetically, that you are denied that medication that can literally save your life. What's the difference? You know, because cis people do access the same gender affirming care treatment, right? This is what my hypothetical wasn't gender affirming care, but suffice to say, if you deny someone who was severely suicidal, right, from being put on the medication, you have effectively, basically, you have pretty much fucked them over, right? Because you have denied them access to that vital medication, right? If you do the same thing to a trans person who does not identify as their assigned sex of birth, because I hate to break it to you, you're born gay, you're born trans, right? You are born straight, right? These are all various experiences, right? We're gonna end up going down the same path, and we're just gonna be in a situation where these kids, these adolescent children, are gonna be on the path of unaliving themselves because they can't access the care, the medication, and the support they need. And that is what the Supreme Court in the US and in Tennessee are doing, because they don't care. They don't care about the lives of their citizens. Especially in this context, trans children. They care more about cis children than they do about trans children. As the judge said, it's all right for cis kids to be given puberty blockers, but not trans children. There's no difference. The puberty blockers given to a cis kid or a trans kid does the same thing. It's just that in a trans child, it just pauses their puberty, right? Much like in cis kids who start puberty prematurely, until their body is strong and healthy enough to cope with puberty. Right? There's no difference. Right? But this is yet again another attack on trans people. That's all it is. She questioned why Tennessee lawmakers should have the power to regulate a medical decision, and why puberty blockers could still be used to address issues like unwanted facial hair among teenage girls, but not gender affirmation among transgender youth. Exactly. Tennessee's ban applies no matter what the minor's parents and doctors think. Once again, they're trying to, broaden their power, saying no, because once again, the U.S. government think that they know best when they don't. So yeah, Tennessee's ban applied no matter what the minor's parents and doctors think, with no regard for the severity of the minor's mental health conditions or extent to which treatment is medically necessary for an individual child, Sotomayor said. And that's exactly it. They don't care because they're not even listening because they don't care. Wednesday's decision comes at a precarious time for the transgender community in the US. Since returning to office for a second term in January, US President Taco has taken steps to limit the rights of transgender people on his very first day back in the White House. The Republican leader issued an executive order announcing the federal government would only recognize two sexes, male and female. Well, isn't he? Well, first of all, there's more than two. Well, no. Firstly, there's more than two. Secondly, sex isn't binary; it's bimodal. But hey ho, I guess his education wasn't up to snuff. Anyway, days later, on January 27th, he issued another executive order, effectively setting the stage for a ban on transgender troops in the military. Trump denounced transgender people as expressing a false gender identity and said their identity conflicts with the soldiers' commitment to an honorable, truthful, and disciplined lifestyle. Well, that makes no fucking sense. But then again, what do you expect from Donald Trump? Trans people have served in the military for years, decades at this point. Like, they are very honourable people, like just like any other person. So I don't know what the fuck he's smoking. Anyway, the Supreme Court upheld that ban. As well, June 6 marks an initial deadline for transgender troops to self-identify and leave the military voluntarily. No, I think the better word is they were forced out. In addition, Trump has said his administration will withhold federal funds from schools that allow transgender girls and women to participate in women's sports. That decision has led to clashes with states like Maine, where Democratic Governor Janet Mills had pledged to stand up to him. The fight over Tennessee's ban on puberty blockers arrived amid a wave of similar legislation, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, some 25 states have bans on gender-affirming healthcare for transgender youth. The group estimates that those laws leave around 100,000 transgender minors without access to medical care they need. Now, once again, let's go back to my hypothetical, right? Let's replace that with, where was it? Imagine a group similar to this did the exact same thing, but for cis people who needed medications for their mental health, right? And they basically held up the middle finger and said, "Fuck you," right? the amount of uproar that would cause, the amount of mental health charities that would come out absolutely denigrating the government for their appalling actions, right? Because we wouldn't stand for that. Yeah, this group, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, they estimate 100,000 transgender minors without access to medical care they may need. Like, this is it. I've said this more than once. History is history for a reason. And first they started with overturning Roe v. Wade. Right, that was the first step. And look what they're doing, and look what they're trying to do now. They're trying to ban education, specifically on LGBT stuff. Things are gonna get unfortunately, things are gonna get a hell of a lot worse before things improve. The ban the Supreme Court raid on Wednesday had initially faced an injunction from a lower court, but the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals lifted the injunction pending an appeal. The ACLU called the Supreme Court's decision a setback, but pledged to continue filing legal challenges. In a statement, it noted that the Supreme Court had not overturned the wider precedent that discriminating against transgender people is illegal. Today's ruling is a devastating loss for transgender people, our families, and everyone who cares about the Constitution, said Chase Strangio, a co-director for the ACLU's LGBTQ and HIV project. We are determined, as ever, to fight for the dignity and equality of every transgender person. So, yeah, there you have it. Like I say, history is history for a reason. And certain people in the US government wants to repeat certain historical ways. So yeah, like, when I woke up this morning, I was in. I wouldn't go as far as optimistic, but it's just reading. Like I try and stay away from the news. Unless we cover certain topics on this show. But it's like it's just. Oh, speaking of conversion camp, conversion therapy. Hopefully our guest will join. Just bear with me 1 minute. Bear with me. Um. Yeah. Because I just want to find out if. I mean, there's still. I mean, I suppose there's still time for them to show up. It's just, it's just. I'd really love for them to, join us tonight. So yeah, speaking of conversion therapy, conversion, So yeah, the headline is "Man Who Endured Anti-Gay Exorcism, wins historic settlement with Church of England." So the Church of England paid a 5-figure settlement to a gay man who endured an exorcism to purge his sexual impurity. Matthew Draper sued the church after he attended an Encounter God weekend that ended with his being coerced into a ritual to drive gay urges out of his body, he told the Times. He volunteered at St. Thomas, Philadelphia, a Sheffield church, at the time and was invited to the event at what he believed to be a contemporary, welcoming church. But Draper, 37, described the exorcism ritual in foreboding terms. Looking back, it seemed like something out of a horror movie. For someone to be standing over you saying they can see the demons leaving your body is quite terrifying. Draper told the newspaper, but when you are deeply tied into the church, I was at the time, it is easy to believe anything they tell you. The experience led him to abandon Christianity, he said. I'm not surprised. Church leaders at St. Thomas initially denied Draper's allegations that such an event occurred. Well, of course it would, but an investigation by local charity Bernardo's, commissioned by the Diocese of Sheffield, found evidence that the exorcism did occur, but was billed as a prayers session. From the evidence, let me know what you think in the comments of what we've discussed as of now. From the evidence available to us, it is our view that the session took place as described by Mr. Draper, and prayers were administered with the intention of changing his sexual identity. The investigation report reads, as reported by the Telegraph, the United Kingdom has been moving forward with legislation to ban conversion therapy. Draper alleged in a 2022 legal complaint that the exorcism was a form of such therapy. The victim ultimately reached a 5-figure settlement rather than taking the matter to court. I would have liked to have this matter heard in open court, but the church's insurers argued my claim was beyond the legal time limit, and I knew we could face a lengthy legal process, Draper told the Times. His attorney believes the settlement to be the first damages paid by a church in the UK to a conversion therapy survivor. As far as I'm aware, this is the first ever payment of damages in respect of harm caused by conversion or exorcism practices. Lawyer Richard Schurer said it demonstrates that churches which engage in these abhorrent homophobic practices may face legal claims and damages awards, and I hope it will encourage churches to ban such practices entirely. Yeah. Do you know what else I would like to? Do you know what else I would like to see? I would like to see the Church of England pay the families of the children that have been abused in the church. That's what I'd like to see. But no, we're not going to see that. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, share your thoughts. Like, let me know what you think about what we've covered. Let's cover this one. This is on the Independent. Yasmin Benoit. I had no idea people would be so angry about asexuality. The activist, campaigner, and research fellow at King's College is calling for inclusivity and understanding of asexual people, as a quarter of people think it's a mental health problem. She speaks to Emma Henderson about how asexuality has been likened to being an incel and why big brands are distancing themselves from Pride. Hey, Mischief. How are you? Hope you're well. Um, yeah, so this is what asexual looks like. Is the tagline that activist and model Yasmin Benoit has become known for. She is fast becoming the face of asexuality, which she says is often forgotten about. For years, people told her she didn't look like she was asexual. Not that there's a look to your sexuality, but okay. A strange remark that led her to start the social media hashtag, this is what asexual looks like. um, Nerdy isn't feeling very well, so which is understandable. Um, Max double booked a friend to come over. I'm hoping that she'll be able to pop on for a little bit. Even if it's just for 50, even if it's just for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, they're both fine. Um, yeah, so it's just me. Currently waiting on our guest to show up. Um, I mean, it's looking highly unlikely at this minute. Um, but yeah, they're okay. Um, Highlighting a lack of understanding about those who experience little to no sexual attraction towards anyone, regardless of gender, as well as aromantic people who experience little to no romantic connection. I'm doing good by myself. Yeah, well, needs must and all that. It would have been a lot more fun with Nerdy and Max on for sure. Because you have two other people to bounce off of. But yeah, I mean, needs must, I guess, and all that. Um, the hashtag's speedy popularity helped to diversify the conversation. She says, I am what asexual looks like. Two, it looks like anybody. It's not just one example. We're speaking just after her visit to Washington, D.C. for a World Pride event, where she spoke at the Human Rights Conference about marginalized identities. Benoit paves the way for challenging stigma on asexuality. She's a multi-award winning campaigner and was recently the first asexual person to win a British LGBT award. She first gained a platform through modelling, turning to activism in 2017, but really pursued it after finishing her master's in 2019, when she had more time to think. She felt the algorithm kept showing me asexuality related things, and I just realised the conversation hadn't changed, developed, or expanded at all since I was in secondary school, and there were still deep misconceptions. People haven't really understood how asexuality fits in to the conversation of sexual liberation or the queer movement, she explains. Um, People think if you're asexual, you shouldn't wear nice clothes, wear makeup, or do your hair. And I'm like, what am I supposed to wear? A potato sack? or something. I've had a GB News do a whole segment on my appearance and how I don't look asexual enough. They said my lips were too pouty. I think that in particular is rooted in sexism and racism. For Benoit, she didn't think the idea of dressing for herself and not a male gaze, or for anyone else, was a revolutionary idea in this day and age, until she started getting all these crazy reactions to her appearance. And it's like, no, not only is Yasmin asexual, but also if you've seen Yasmin, she's also a person of color as well. I don't know her background, you know. Um, but but like I say, she's also a person of color. So there's that as well. That certain people that have, you know, a brain the size of a pea can't fathom. You know, so yeah. Um, right, where did I get to? Oh, there, right. The denial to accept Benoit as asexual meant she felt she wasn't really able to take part in anything for a while because it just didn't seem like that was my place. Which is ironic now because now everyone knows me from being asexual. It took around 6 or 7 years for people to finally start accepting me, which she pinpoints to happening after an interview with Metro. Though there's still a long way to go, and of course Benoit is at the helm, she says one of the worst issues she's faced was hearing the likening of asexual people to incels, involuntarily celibate people, on American comedian Trevor Noah's podcast, One Now. It was very concerning that no one registered that it's really a different thing. It shows the absolute gap in knowledge. Incels experience sexual attraction to the point where it's frustrating to them that they're not getting it. It's literally the fundamental opposite to asexual, she explains, which it is. Um, so see, you know, a lot of people are pissed off, and by a lot of people that have no brain power. um, well, let's cover another piece of LGBTQ plus politicking nonsense in America, shall we? um, shoot, this is the header. Again, this is on the Independent. Supreme Court allows parents to opt. I'll read that again. Supreme Court allows parents to opt children out of classes that use LGBT plus inclusive books. Okay. A group of religious parents in Maryland successfully asked the court to allow them to remove their children from classrooms with LGBT plus inclusive books. A group of religious parents who did not want their children to be read to or be exposed. Oh no, what could possibly go wrong? Your kid is, I don't know, exposed to other literature. Go figure. Anywho, may opt their children out of class, the US Supreme Court ruled on Friday. In a 6-3 ruling, the conservative wing of the court, which is often sympathetic to religious rights, sided with a group of parents in Maryland in a dispute over whether they could remove their children from classes that used books with LGBT plus themes or inclusivity. It just, it's just like reading material. Like it's like instead of having books on just on you know the normal everyday stuff like history, history about racism and all of that. It's being inclusive to other people, being inclusive to LGBT people. So having reading material, to teach children, that there are more than one way to be, that sort of thing. Um, the court said it was the rights of parents to bring their children up under a religious belief, even when those beliefs disagree with LGBT people or themes. Let me just read that part again. The court said it was the rights of parents to bring their children up under a religious belief, even when those beliefs disagree with LGBT people or themes. I disagree. I totally disagree. You, if you as a parent want to have religious beliefs, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But don't force your religious belief onto your kids. Like I'm sorry, but like that's just me. Like if you as a parent want to have religious beliefs, then go for it. But don't force your beliefs or your religion on your kids. Just don't do it. If they are receptive to it and open to it, then that's different. But if they're not, and you're doing it because you think it's the right way for them to be, don't do it. But again, I suppose that's considered an outlandish opinion. Um, I used to read Enid Blyton's famous 5 books. There's a girl in it, but she's not like to be called a girl. Exactly, exactly, mischief. You know, it's like what are they gonna do? Start banning books completely? It's getting fucking ridiculous. At the centre of the dispute over several books that contain LGBT plus characters or storylines included in an English language arts curriculum for elementary school aged children in Montgomery County. In 2022, the school board implemented the books in the classrooms to better reflect the diverse community. Initially, parents could opt out their children, but the school board reversed the policy because they said it became too disruptive. The books include Pride Puppy, which takes readers through the alphabet while sharing the story of a girl whose puppy gets loose while at a pride parade. Also, Uncle Bobby's Wedding, a story about a girl who worries she will spend less time with her favorite uncle after he marries his boyfriend. But a group of parents in Maryland from various faith backgrounds sued the county school board, saying it went against their religious rights to remove the opt-out policy. The liberal justices of the court, Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Eleanor Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, dissented from the majority, warning that such ruling would cause chaos for this nation's public schools, requiring schools to provide advance notice and a chance to opt out every lesson, plan, or story time that might implicate a parent's religious beliefs will impose impossible administrative burdens on schools. Sotomayor wrote for the majority. She added, "The harm will not be borne by educators alone. Children will suffer too. Classroom disruptions and absences may well inflict long-lasting harm on students' learning and development." Exactly. I mean, exactly, Mischief. I mean, if you think about it, books that have LGBT plus themes have existed since the 1800s. I mean, heck, if you want to go way back, you can go to the days of let me search. You can go back. You can go to the days of William Shakespeare, and other notable figures where you can literally see LGBT stuff. So it has always existed, you know. But these group of parents just want something to moan about. I used to watch a TV show called Rainbow. There's a gay hippo in it. He called George too, and there's no. No, exactly. You know, it's just these. Well, let me try and find. Right, um, um, right. So the ruling is a small win for religious freedom advocates who have turned to the Supreme Court in recent years to expand their rights. Today's decision is a major victory for parental rights and for religious freedom. I'll get back to that in a minute. Ashley McGuire, a mother in Montgomery County and senior fellow at the Catholic Association, said in a statement, "Parents are the primary educators of their children." No, they're not. No. And they should get to decide when and how they broach sensitive topics about gender and sexuality. Not the public school bureaucrats. That's where you're wrong, Miss McGuire. You are not the one educating your kids. School teachers are. So, you know, these. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, Fatima Goss Graves, the CEO and president of the National Women's Law Centre, rebuked the decision and in a statement that the court is opening the door for extremists to undermine education. The impact of this decision cannot be overstated, as the door is now opened for extremists to misuse religion and claim that it allows them to undermine education on any topic they don't like. Exactly. That's exactly the line I was going along on. Um, you know, probably just bored parents who've got nothing better to do, and so they decide to kick up a fuss at their child's school, or because they have beliefs according to their religion. Because this isn't what I'm about to say isn't a blanket statement for everyone, because not everyone, because not every person who has a religion is like this. But this is why certain people in religion have a bad name. Um, don't like sowing fear and division in the classroom. Ultimately, this will make it harder for teachers to teach and students to feel seen and affirmed, Greaves said. It's like, yeah. It's like, I think the Roadrunner in a Warner Bros. Cartoon are trans CFM queen. Oh, I wouldn't doubt that for a second. You know, I wouldn't doubt that for a second. As a kid, I used to watch. Well, when we were able to have Sky, I used to watch Disney stuff all the time. You know, and obviously you don't notice it when you're a kid because you're a kid. But if you look back, there are so many coded things. Whether it's LGBT stuff. Obviously there will be things coded in that aren't culturally appropriate and insensitive, right? But there are definitely things coded in, like characters and all of that. It's just, again, not all religious people, but certain religious people, like the parents that I've just read about, they're just bored. They've got nothing better to do than cause havoc for other people, just because they are, deeply concerned. Excuse me. I think there are queer coding villains in Disney. There's trouble over that at one time, I think. Oh, absolutely. Here's the thing, Mischief. As fucked up. How do I put this? As fucked up Walt Disney himself was, right, as a person, right, and obviously, he used, his platform where he coded in certain things, in the cartoons and all of that. There are absolutely, queer coded villains in Disney. Absolutely. I mean, I can just do a Google search right now. So, you have. So, I just typed in queer coded villains in Disney, and you have Ursula from The Little Mermaid. You have Governor Ratcliffe from Pocahontas. You have Hades from Hercules. You have Jafar in Aladdin. Scar, Lion King. You have LeFou, Beauty and the Beast. You have Timon and Pumbaa in The Lion King. And you have Oaken from Frozen. And I'm assuming many, many more. Let's see. Captain. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Apart from Peg Leg Pete, who look like a dog but are a cat. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can pretty much watch anything Disney Um, and you will always find nine times out of 10, you will always find queer coded, characters in there somewhere. You know, it depends on if you're actually looking for it or not. But yeah, there's loads. Like I say, um, speaking specifically about Pocahontas, I mean there are things in there that aren't culturally appropriate now, given given it's a different time period, So, but yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if um actually whilst we're on this Disney kick, let me know that. Nope. If they're gonna keep their kids away from anything LGBT in school, there are not gonna be too much left. No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Some people say even Batman and Robin are gay. Um, are they talking about the more recent adaptation of Batman and Robin, or are they more talking about the TV show version? In when was the TV show Batman TV show? Or were they to, oh right. I mean, yeah, that was what I was just trying to figure that out. Because I just put it in a Google. Even Burt Ward, who played Dick Grayson / Robin, acknowledged in his memoir that the relationship between Batman and Robin depicted in the television series could be interpreted as queer, although it seems gayness and Batman have always gone hand in hand. Many writers have stated that he is canonically heterosexual. Oh yeah, It absolutely is. um, yeah. Um, there've been loads of new Robins since Dick Grayson. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, um, yeah. I mean, you know, it's just as I say, you know, it's fine. It's fine if you want to be religious. That's fine. But when it comes to children who haven't chosen to follow, who haven't chosen to go down that path, you should not force your religion or your beliefs onto your children. That's just my apparently outlandish opinion. The second Robin, Jason Todd, got murdered by the Joker, and Batman went crazy and blamed himself. Yeah, yeah. I haven't watched. Um, excuse me, Batman for a while. The last Batman movie I saw was the one with Tom Hardy, who played Bane, and then the one with what's his name? The one with Heath Ledger, where he played the Joker. Other than that, I haven't watched any. So yeah, these parents are making a rod for their own back. Their kids will rebel when old enough. Oh, absolutely. That that's exactly what happens when you try and force anything on the kids, whether it be religion or anything, and they are not receptive to it. And I mean openly receptive to it. Even if they don't want to even if they don't want to fully commit, right? But they are interested in some of it, right? If they are not openly receptive to it, that should be your sign to not keep doing it, because the more you do it, the more that they will rebel, and they will go down the path that you try to, in your own way, stop them going down. But your way, again, if you as a parent are religious, that's your path. That's not your children's path. But hey, you know, I'm not, you know. Oh, absolutely. I used to have a load of comics when I was a kid. You know, I had Superman, X Men. You know, yeah. In them days, all the LGBT stuff went under the radar. Yeah, yeah, and that's what certain religious groups and government are trying to do, trying to put it under the carpet, under the rug again. But the difference is, it might have happened once, but it won't happen again. Oh, absolutely. Oh, of course, mischief. But it's like with anything. When something doesn't agree with certain people and they don't like it, that you get this. They stomp their feet, you know, like a petulant child who can't get their way, and so they lash out. And this is them lashing out. So if they so exactly. Exactly. Now, just take out the X-Men part and include trans people into that. You know, it's all a full circle moment, a full circle. You know, they were vilified for being different. Look at what we're seeing now with trans people. They're being vilified for being trans. Something that they can't control. So you know, it's like it. Nothing shocks me anymore. Whenever I hear about something to do with LGBT plus stuff, uh, whether it's the US government, our own government, or any government around the world that are trying to stop gay people or trans people from living, I'm just not shocked anymore. You know, so it's it's like, what you're gonna do. It's like, if it isn't, sex matters, LGBT Alliance, or any other fucking hate group trying to, drain or flood the media with their rhetoric. It's religious groups trying to, be called. It's like, oh yeah, yeah. I've read the Bible. I've read the Old Testament, and I've read the New Testament. Both are both not worth reading, and are a pile of shit. So yeah, no. So yeah. um, it's like if these. Let's have a look. Hopefully, um, I vaguely heard about it. Yeah. um, I don't know enough to really speak on it. Did it happen recently, or was it back in 2019? Oh, it, is he the one that says children can't consent to puberty blockers? Because I think I'm on Billboard Chris's website. So he's just another fucking incel, then I guess. So basically, he's probably another another Paul, basically. Well, oh, yeah, that's him. you know, I might oh, it probably is watching. Which, if he is, then he is not. Then he is not as busy as he says he is. You know what? I might not now. I don't know. The thing is, Mischief. You can't find anything. You can't find out anything about him because you can't even find anything about what he does for work because apparently all that's private. You know, and he and because he and you know he made me an offer. Like if I could prove to him that trans people exist, he would give me a million. He would give me £1 million, and I told him where to shove it. Um, oh, I will. Um, you know, not now, but later. I might reach out to Billboard Chris. Now you see, mischief. Now you have just piqued my interest even more just by saying that. Um, if you can find anything on that, would you mind sending it over? Even if that's not the poor Vogler that I unfortunately had to fucking endure, I'm still intrigued. Okay. Well, um, I might, email Paul's assistant and ask her that. But that's very intriguing. And if that is the Paul Vogler I had to endure, then my. Excuse me, because uh, mm, because my oh my, he sure was absolutely fucking stupid. And if that said Paul was a registered nurse, then his education must have been absolutely fucking shit. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Oh yeah. Mm. Well, it was kind of easy though. It was easy though. It wasn't that hard. You know. Um. I'm hoping that with still quite a while left, I'm hoping that our guest will turn up. Um. But I mean, yeah. Um. If there's anything you want to talk about or ask me anything, Miss Chief, then be my guest. What do you think about Lily Tino? No one seems to like her. Well, the reason why people don't seem to like her is because it's how she conducts herself by putting herself into situations where she then causes chaos for other people around her by saying stupid things like "I'm being misgendered" when she hasn't been. So so that's probably why people don't like her. As for me, I don't give people like that any daylight. Like if she wants to do that, spend her day going out to bars, restaurants, making a nuisance out of herself, then that's her prerogative. But her being attractive or not attractive isn't the issue, in my opinion. You know, because she can be as attractive as she wants. But if she still did what she did, people will still not like her. So that's kind of irrelevant, in my opinion. Um, you know, attractive or not, if you act like if you act like a complete and utter arse, then that's on you. If that's how you pay your bills, then it's not going to last for long. But yeah, that's my feelings on Lily Tino. If I'll put it this way: if she wasn't as antagonistic as she is, and she just went about her day, no one would, and she was respectful to people. People would tolerate her a lot more, and she would be welcomed. It's just that simple. If you're gonna act like a dick, then be prepared to deal with the consequences. Some people think she are fake and not really trans. Well, uh, um, I don't. I'm going to side on the. I'm gonna. How am I gonna say this? let's just say, let's use another hypothetical. Let's assume, hypothetically, that she was faking being trans. What would be her motive for doing it? What would her motive be? Why would she go out in public and hypothetically, right? You know, in the hypothetical scenario, fake being trans. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna. But here's the thing: a load of people on YouTube do rage bait videos. Right, doing a rage bait video has nothing. Doing rage bait videos on YouTube has nothing to do with your sexuality or your gender identity. Like people can be dicks and still be trans, gay, straight, whatever. She's most famous. She's most famous trans. Well, I'll put it this way: she's found her niche. If being famous and making loads of money makes her happy, then more power to her. That's all I'm gonna say. She's saying she quits internet now anyway. Yeah. Do bears shit in the woods. Yeah. Nah, she's not gonna quit. I'm assuming the amount of money she makes per video, she's not gonna quit. And if she does, best believe she'll be back. Is he more of a vlogger? Because I don't watch vloggers on YouTube. Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. Oh yeah, I know who he is now. Yeah. Um. Yeah. He pulled a Graham Linehan. Mm. So another dick. Mm. Well, exactly. You see, that's the thing, and this all ties in to what I was you know covering earlier. Regarding when I was reading off the two trans the two trans victims from earlier. It's like when you have guys like Josh Sita, you have guys like Graham Linehan, who perpetuate this this myth of you know trans women are more dangerous bullshit. And it's like no, you know, if you actually look at the stats, right, there's no specific stats for trans people. There isn't any. You know, when you look at stats for whatever the crime is, right, the only categories that are listed are for men and women, right? There are no separate stats for crimes committed by trans people, right? Intersex people, right? There's no categorization of of others, right? But if you look at that, right, I feel sorry for Graham Linehan. Um, Let me finish my thought, Miss Chief, and then I'll get back to your two comments if you don't mind. Um, it's like yeah. Oh, they say people like Graham Linehan say trans women are more dangerous, right? Because in his turf eyes they're men when they're not. Right? Like no, they're not. Trans women are more likely to be victims of sexual assault, etc. Much like cis women, but again, because it doesn't suit their narrative of trans women not being women. This is why you get. This is why Graham Linehan stoops to the level he does, because all he does is he probably spends 15 hours a day on Twitter, right, or some other platform where he harasses women and children, right, and that's the level they're at, and you get twats like Josh Seater, uh, and they try to blame Buck Angel. Now you see, I've I've seen a little bit of Book Angels content on YouTube. Personally, I um I haven't made my mind up on him at the minute. Um um I don't I don't feel sorry for him at all. Or does he? Why am I not surprised? Um I got pestered by a man in the hospital yesterday. How come? Was he being was he being a typical man and being a creep? Yeah, I bet that um creeped you out a bit. Yeah, just having a man staring at you. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he either had a bit too many. Then I mean, I shouldn't assume that because it depends on what time of day it was. But I'm just gonna say, it was either had a bit too many, or he was just trying to. Oh, that's good. Yeah, you find some. You see some funny encounters in a hospital waiting room. That's for sure. Yeah. Yep, they certainly are. Good ones and bad ones. It's been a while since I've been to a hospital, so but yeah, you get good ones who you know who know when to talk to you and then leave you alone. And then you've got the other ones who don't know when to A, shut the fuck up, and B, leave you alone. So it's like a 50-50 chance on what you're gonna get. Yeah, but I bought these off of Amazon. Amazon. These are fruit teller, uh, fruit teller rainbow. Read my lips. 8 flavored lip balms. Yeah, just type it in. Type fruit teller rainbow in Amazon, and it should pop up. No, there are no love hearts on here. No. Um, oh yeah, good old home and bargain. Um, I don't like internet shopping. I like to get my stuff then. Yeah. Mm. Me, I'm the opposite. Well, it depends. If I'm in town, which I don't go to town that often where I live. So if I'm in town, which is probably once every 2 weeks or thereabouts, and there's something, and I find something that I want, and it's there, I get it. However, more than likely, I will probably purchase what I want online and have it delivered because I mean, yeah, like you, I'm impatient. Plus, no, scrap that. There are times on a daily basis where I do not want to have to deal with people because they annoy me. And that's coming from a person that suffers with anxiety and social anxiety. So yeah, the less interaction I have with people, the better. So yeah, it's a bit of both. Oh, because he's basically. Oh, Is he like Billboard Chris then? I'd like to see you meet Sandwich Boy Steve. Uh, I don't think it would be good for him if I met him. If I met him, I, d- I don't. I again that wouldn't go very well for him either. Um. Oh. Oh. Great. Uh. Yeah. Wouldn't. Oh, sorry again. Wouldn't it be amazing if I could get them to if I could get both Billboard Chris and Billboard Steve on as a guest, and have them two fucking numpties against me, Max, and Nerdy. But I highly doubt that would ever happen. No thanks. Nope. I don't want anything from someone called fucking Billboard Steve. If that's how he gets his rocks off, then I suppose then that's fine. I suppose as long as he doesn't physically assault anyone, you know, then that's fine, I guess. You know, but he would not be a good idea for him to meet me because it wouldn't go well. Well, I'm just gonna nip to the bathroom. Keep talking, Mischief, and then I'll reply to your messages when I come back. I'm back. No, unfortunately, Max isn't here. I'll see. Hey. Absolutely not. No, she's not. Or she, she might not want to because she has a friend over. Nah, mischief. Nah, she's not hiding. No will Paul ever come back. Um, let me. I mean, Max might not want to because she has a friend over. Or no, not her boyfriend. Or she. Um, yeah, yeah. She's still a teacher. She starts her new job in August. In August. Yeah. Um, I was gonna message Max, see if she wanted to pop off a little bit, but it's getting late over there. So unfortunately, no Max and no Nerdy tonight. But Max will be back with us next week for definite. Um, absolutely, yeah. Um, so yeah. Oh, ain't that a shame? Well, oh, oh well. Never mind. Eh? Like I say, it probably wouldn't go very well for Steve anyway, because you've seen what Max is like. She doesn't take any shit from anyone. So regardless if she likes you as a person or not, so it wouldn't go very well. Steve Rugby tackled some guy that stole his billboards. Oh, for fuck's sake! Seriously, how much do billboards cost? They can't be that fucking expensive. Oh no! Somebody stole my billboard. I mean, if you're talking the really massive ones, do you see advertisements on? Then obviously, of course, they can range from £200 to 2,000, but they're like 96 feet. So yeah, but if you're talking like fucking little ones that you can carry, like they're probably less than 200 quid. Steve left it lying around on Brighton Promenade. Well, that's his own fucking fault. Oh no, my billboards got stolen. Yeah, because you fucking left them there. You stupid dick. Is it? Right. Probably not. No. Then again, he could probably still carry them. Steve always complains because there's a trans woman that does UFC. Oh, for fuck's sake. Cage fighting Fallon Fox. Yeah, Steve really sounds like a fucking person you'd want to have a fucking cup of tea with, doesn't he? Not like seriously. There's more to life than moaning about a fucking trans woman fight. Being in the UFC, for fuck's sake. The thing is though, that Steve wouldn't be able to fucking do anything. unless he's the type of person who will say he will come out with the line, men are stronger and more proficient in unarmed combat bullshit than women and trans women. He probably sounds like the type of guy that would say something like that. I don't like UFC or boxing anyway. It's violent. Yeah, I can understand your point. Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't done in a while, but I used to watch UFC and boxing. Um, yeah. Oh yeah, there are more. Excuse me. Oh yeah. Well, this is it. At the end of the day, they're just like everyone else. They just want to be able to. They just want to be able to do the sport they love, and that's it. Whether it's wrestling, UFC, boxing, you know, they just want to play the sport that they love, and that's it, and that's that. You know, a trans woman should be able to compete in the UFC and boxing in any sport. There shouldn't be this fucking barrier of fucking elitism. Exactly. Yeah. There are trans women wrestlers everywhere. Everywhere. You know, it's just that depending on where they're from, the culture. Obviously, the culture in Mexico with their wrestlers is completely different. You know, a lot of trans women, go stealth. You know, to protect themselves. So to the average person who isn't fucking obsessed with fucking genitalia and all of that and all of that bollocks, you know, they wouldn't be able to tell. I've said this before. You interact with a trans person every day, and you don't even know. When you go into your favorite cafe, right? You are more than you will more than likely interact with a trans person, male or female. and you wouldn't know. But but again, it's down to pure boredom. Yeah, so mine, but it's nice to have a chat. Yeah. Um yeah, they might have just forgotten. Oh well. If they want to rearrange, I'm sure they'll get in touch with Nerdy to rearrange if they still want to come on. But yeah, yeah, absolutely we do. Yeah, but yeah, uh, she might be. She, she might watch this tomorrow. I don't know. Um, but she might. But yeah, she might be. Yeah. Do who Max? No, no, she won't be jelly. No, now's your time. No, she won't be angry. Um, now's the time that if you have any burning questions, for me, do you want to ask me? Now's the time. You can, ask me anything, and I will answer. Oh, could be, um, could be personal or any Any question? Who did you really hate in school? Let me think. The vast majority of kids, again, someone with anxiety, social anxiety, and just hate people generally. The vast majority of the kids who I went to school with, a handful of teachers. There were probably only two, maybe three teachers at best that I liked. So yeah. So there's no specific one person that I hated. No. Oh, there were a few, but I've erased them from my mind. How did I meet Max? Um, on Twitter. I wanted to start a podcast. This very podcast right here. Um, and I wanted to do it and I wanted a co-host. So I put out a tweet on X looking for a co-host, and another friend online um, who no longer uses X um, mentioned Max, and that's how our very first um, time we ever spoke was on the very first episode of the podcast, and that's how we met. Nope, no, we have not met in real life. We've just met virtually online. Yeah, Max, um, co-host Max. Yeah, in person would hope so. Yeah, yeah, we would. It certainly would. We will have to wait and see. No, I'm the type of person that I don't like to I don't like to plan because I like to take things one day at a time. I'll put it this way: if we ever get the chance to meet up in person, then when it will happen, who knows? And I'm not gonna stress myself up, stress about it. You want to make it an ambition. Eh, I wouldn't go that high. Um, if it happens, it happens. You know, if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, that's the funny thing about life. Things never go the way you plan them to. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Uh Let me go to my subscriptions. Right. Um which other YouTubers I like? Um Ghost Club Paranormal, because I like paranormal. Um Luxeria, Novembia. You gotta have a bit of the Osbournes. Um Juno Birch, Rolly Rest, YT. Um I am Hito, the show. Jamie Dodger, Katie Montgomery. Who else? Um, Emily Boo. Yeah, Katie Montgomery. Um, yeah, those are ones that I like. Like, I've got others, but Katie Montgomery. Um, I don't think I don't think she's on my list. Um, don't even know that. Don't even know what that is. Um, I'll check them out. Really awesome. I'll excuse me. Awesome. Oh, I see. Awesome. I'll definitely check her channel out. Who do I not like? If we're talking YouTube, um, actually no, let's stay off YouTube. Let's talk about your life. Who do I not like? Uh, I don't like Linehan. I don't like Blair White. I don't like Helen Stoneland. I don't like Artie Morty. I don't like Maya Forstater. I don't like Helen Joyce. I don't like LGB Alliance. I don't like Sex Matters. I don't like Women for Scotland. Um, no, I don't. Nope. I do not like Blair White at all. At all. Not when she has turned her back on her own community. I don't like Ollie. I don't like Ollie London. I don't like. Who else do I not like? Well, it'll come to me. Samantha Lux. Um, Let me just have a. Um, I'm on the fence with Samantha Lux. Like I don't know enough. I don't know enough about her to make a comment. So like ContraPoints again. I don't know enough about her. You know, I don't watch her content, so I can't really say. I know she has her own opinions, but as I say, I don't watch her content, so well, that's probably why then. Do you think AGP are a real thing, or are it just transphobic? No, AGP is not a real thing. So that's that. It is just another way for them to spew their transphobic bigotry. So no, it's not real. Not to mention, it's an outdated term. To be, so no. Um, I think that some people transition out of self-directed homophobia. Um, I I think it can happen. It can happen. I don't know. Again, it can it happen. Yes. Can you be so internalized with self hatred of yourself or whatever? Like, yes, it can happen. How often it happens, I'm not sure. Because some trans people may wrestle with internalized homophobia and transphobia simultaneously, especially if they grew up in hostile environments. So, yeah, it can happen, but how often? Like, I don't know because I haven't seen the stats for it. Sometimes people say that there are lots of transgenders that have strict homophobic parents. Probably, and if that's true, then those religious parents that won't ban things in schools are more likely to cause a gay kid. Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. Because, that child, you know, will probably not realize their sexuality until a later date because of their parents, meddling. So yeah, and that does happen. Or if that kid at an older age decided to come out, then their parents will more than likely probably try to either send them to a conversion camp of some kind, or, and this does happen, they disown the child. So yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I am old enough to remember. Of course. Like, I know I don't look it, but I am. Um, yeah, that was my morning TV as a kid. Zippy and Bungle. Absolutely. No one complained. Absolutely no one. Because, I mean, probably because it probably has something to do with the fact that it wasn't obvious. I mean, to the people in the know, the creators, or probably knew, but to everyone else, they probably weren't aware. So yeah. Well, when you have a TV show called Rainbow, like, there's not a lot. I mean, this is just me, because like, career centric. Like obviously, you can have obviously you can have a TV show called Rainbow and not have it career coded, obviously. But I just think that. But yeah, absolutely. Rainbow was not obvious back then. Lost Code was to do with Wizard of Oz. Yeah, you're not wrong. Saw it from the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Yeah. Oh, they do, and they still do. I think they still hold events surrounding Wizard of Oz to this day. So yeah. Do you really think so? Because Wizard of Oz brings in a lot of money, especially if they still do events. I think it still brings in a lot of money for whoever puts them on. I mean, you could be right. No, they can't. No, you're absolutely right there. Um, Yeah, that's fine, Mischief. I'm gonna end the stream now anyway. Hope to have you back. I'll start that again. I hope to have you join us again next week. It will just be me and Max next week because Nerdy's oldest Nerdy's oldest's birthday, so she won't be joining us. So hope to see you then. Well, thanks for joining everyone. Sorry that our guest didn't turn up. There might have been miscommunication of some kind. But yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for the conversation, Mischief, and we will see you next week. Bye.